Hey everyone, let's take a look at the Active Directory Design Lab. For this lab, you'll just need your first server. Your goal is to configure and set up the Active Directory environment to your liking. So I give you a list of users. Your job is to create all of these users inside of Active Directory, add them to the appropriate OUs and groups that you feel is necessary, and just kind of explain how you went and did that. A couple different ways you could get started. You could either start by creating your OU structure or by creating all of your users and then dumping them into your OU structure. If I take a look at this company, I have various job titles or functions. So Ella is a receptionist, Chris is a supervisor, Dwight is a office manager, Ann is an accounts receivable. I suppose if I spelled that right, that would help. Tim is a accounts manager, and you can see their other job functions next to them. So that should get you thinking about potential groups. Okay. I also have a little bit of information around certain users in terms of what they might need access to or what special functions they need. So for example, Ella, we only want her to log in between the hours of 8 and 5, and she needs access to the color printer. So we're pretending that there is a color printer that only certain users need access to. In terms of the color printer, one thing I definitely do not want you to do is add individual users to that printer. I want you to use groups, and in fact there's a method called the ugly method, which I have a separate video on that you might want to consider using. So I have my Active Directory server open. Let me just go ahead and get logged in here. And after you get logged in, you're going to want to go to Active Directory Users and Computers. You can either go through that through the server manager, or you can just search for it. I'll wait for my server manager to load. So that would be under Tools, and then Active Directory Users and Computers. Alright, like I said, a couple different ways to get started. You either could create your Active Directory structure first, or you could come in and create all of your users and then dump your users to the appropriate OUs. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to just start off by creating a user. And so I had Ella, and her last name is Vader. And I want you guys to choose a naming convention. And what that means is you're going to name all of your users the same way. So for example, at University of Mary, we use first initial, middle initial, last name, and then a number. And they continue that for every single user. So if I were to choose first name dot last name, I would want to create my second user, first name dot last name, and my third user, who was my second. So I'd want to do Chris dot Bacon, and Dwight dot Trout, and Ann dot Teak. What else you want to think of is what will you do when someone has potentially the same first and last name, which could happen. Maybe there is two Ellas out there. Would you do Ella.Vader.2, or would you put the middle initial in there? How would you account for users with the same name? So hit next here. I want you to give it a good, strong, secure password. I would want them to change the password at next login. Oops. Because that's best security practice. And then what you might want to do is just come over into this document and type the username and what you put for the password. And then I would probably just go and create all of these users. Now when I get to a user that has certain requirements, like Ella, logging in between the hours of 8 and 5, that would be under the properties. And so you don't have to fill all this stuff out, but if you want to, you sure can. Okay, Ella, she's in Bismarck. Okay. Log on hours. Here's where I could modify the log on hours. If they have certain functions, such as, let's see if I can find one here. Matt Freilich needs the ability to do anything on the domain or any server. You should be thinking about using the built-in groups. You need the ability to perform backups on the servers and create accounts. What are some built-in groups that I could use or make them a member of, so that would work. Hazel needs the ability to reset passwords. You should be thinking built-in groups or even delegation of control. So here's our built-in groups. Here's one for example, backup operators. What can they do? They can do backups. They can log into servers. Here is a server operator. What can they do? Their members can administer servers. There's account operators. There's all of these different ones. And in my kind of lecture video for this class, for this section, I also talked about delegating control over OUs. So I create all my users. The next thing I would do is create my OU structure. Various ways to do this, but if I kind of start to analyze the business, I notice a few things potentially. I have a few different branches. I have a Bismarck branch and a Mandan branch. I have different organizational units or departments, I should probably say. I have salespeople, I have managers, I have consultants. Again, you get to decide. I'm just kind of looking that you can describe what you did and why you did it. So maybe I come in here and I create an OU for Mandan, and then I come and create an OU for Bismarck. And then within Mandan, I also want to do kind of job function or role. I notice in Mandan they have salespeople. So any sales users I would dump in here, and maybe they also have users and computers, and I'm probably getting a little bit too fine-grained here, but that's fine. If this makes sense to you and it's easier, that's fine. And so let's just pretend my first user I created was Ella, and we'll pretend she is a sales user under Mandan. So then I would drag her in there. And the salespeople also have computers. Now we're really not doing anything with computers because we don't have any fake computers to add to the domain. But if I wanted to, I could just create a generic computer account. So this is maybe Ella PC. And I'm not really requiring this for the lab, but if you wanted to do that, you can. So it's up to you. If I just wanted Mandan and Bismarck and that's it, you can do that. If you want to break it down further, you can do that. It's completely up to you on how you want to create your organizational unit structure. And remember, organizational units you can apply group policy to. So you need to keep that in mind. Other thing I want to do is create groups. So if I take a look at the different people, I notice I have marketing, I notice I have sales, I notice I have accounts receivable and accounts manager. I have a supervisor, looks like I have IT. So I would want to go and start creating those groups. Now those groups are not OUs. You cannot apply group policy to groups. I know that sounds backwards, but you can't do it. So I want to come in here and create a new group, and maybe my group is IT people, and you would want to decide if you want to use domain, local, global, or universal. And then I would start making my members, whoever is an IT person, so Matt was, and yourself. Well, myself is Matt as well. And there's a page that was an IT person, and there's like one more person that was IT, Barb. And I have to come in here and add all of those people as IT. Okay, and so I would just design my groups that way as well. Now you're probably thinking again, OUs and groups are very similar, and yes they are, but this is a little bit more broad. The OUs, you can apply group policy to them, and you're using it more for organization. Your groups are a little bit more fine-grained in terms of job function, potentially, and you use groups to apply permissions to resources. So like file and folder permissions, printer permissions, those sorts of things you use your groups for. And again, you cannot apply group policy to groups. I'm just going to go ahead and cancel that. So you go and create that, and then I have a few more things for you to do. This is, you're going to use a CSVDE command, so you're going to create a comma separated file. If you do a quick Google search on CSVDE and examples, you will find several examples out there. I think this UK site that I'm going to is one I typically refer to. Whoops. Because it seems to work pretty well. Yeah, this is the one I've used before, but there's other ones. There's ones for Microsoft and different things like that. So that might be a little challenging for you, but reach out if you get stuck. I'll ask you what you've tried and what your file looks like. But the point of a CSVDE file is to be able to import a group of users all at once instead of creating them one by one like we did up above. And then in the end, these are all of your deliverables. You're going to take some screenshots, answer some questions in terms of what you did and why you did it, and then you'll turn in this document. So hopefully that helps you get started for this assignment. Again, if you run into any issues, just reach out. It's a little open game, I'll say, in terms of how you want to do it, but you'll just need to be able to make sure you can answer these questions and take these screenshots. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.